Anyway, let's talk about this next match coming up. NIP versus Rogue, and that's not two names I've really heard in the same sentence or the same matchup for God knows how long.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, they didn't actually even play against each other in the Overwatch Open. The bracket formed so that they were kind of on the other side. Both teams ended up meeting Misfits back when NIP were kind of at their height as well, the team to beat. DreamHack Winter as well. Rogue didn't play there. Again, they met Misfits. So these are two kind of titans of the European scene that haven't hit each other at each other's peaks.
Like passing like ships in the night almost.
Absolutely.
As well, you know, like big names in their own regions. We're going to have a look at the rosters now as well, just to familiarize yourselves with these guys. But Swoosh, I mean, you know, you screamed against these guys. Probably maybe not Rogue so much recently as well, but I mean, who's standing out to you on these two rosters as well as people that you've been keeping your eye on?
We've been screaming NIP a lot the recent past weeks, and the standout players for me is probably like Suppe. He was playing a lot of Ana, but he's in transition to Zenyatta, like he's insane on Zenyatta now. He's becoming really good. So I would keep an eye out for Suppe. And on Rogue, we haven't screamed it so much, but it's your regular old favorite, probably Soon, who's looking to make some plays in the backline.
Of course, Numbani is the first map of this, I can't even say best of series. It's a 4-map series. And for Rogue as well, I think, you know, no surprise to see this composition come out here, Sideshow. Very much their bread and butter.
For sure, it definitely is, especially when they're on the defense. Love to play Unko over on the Ana. We have seen them, when they were playing against the United, make an adaptation and put Nico over on the Diva as well. Gives them a lot more mobility, ability just to fly from one end of Numbani over to the other. Really utilize the high ground. But NIP as well, I mean, previously in Group A, when we've seen Rogue play, it was that mirror matchup against another team that has a really similar style to theirs, loves the triple DPS, Winston compositions. NIP brings something very different to the table, and he's called Fraggy.
Yeah, he's going with a Reinhardt on attack Numbani. That's very unorthodox. We'll see how it works out. I think with this comp, they're going to go for the high ground control on the top left.
I guess they're kind of going to walk themselves up there to a degree. They do have Himsy on the Diva to accompany Zappas if they do want to go deep and try and forge themselves at least some dive opportunities. But right now, it's kind of knocking on the front door. Zappa's going to go in now. A little bit of early damage. Immediately body grenaded out here for Rogue. And now a bit of a brawl will break out.
Seeing if they can get behind into the other side of Numbani. NIP have gone for a really big rat play, actually. Diving to the back, they found wins. That was what they were doing around there. Back at the statue, the fountain, they find the Lucio. And with that taken down, that's quite an opening for them. If they can get the high ground now, they're in a great position.
They can actually spread out on both sides back of this point here. And you can see AKM has been very careful about peeking out. Unko went very low, has an orb of Discord on him now as well. And Soon's just trying to accost his attackers right now. NIP have set up. Zappas wants to get in the face of AKM. This is a titanic battle if I've ever seen one. But Zappas does pull the plug a little bit early. And with Nox and Wins managing to get Himsy out of that suit, it might be Struggle Town here with Frankie very low.
AKM has fallen, but Rogue should be able to stabilize this one. NIP, they took position, but they weren't able to actually convert that into kills, and they don't have the ability to do long-distance damage unless they get Mafu in a great position, and Zuppe was picked immediately as well. So the reason why Winston Diva comps with a lot of mobility is so useful on Numbani is you can go from side to side. You can just kite your enemies by flying over to the other side, and it's a fairly large point. It's just a dip in the middle.
AKM again. Will be setting up back on the high ground. Immediately has to start firing his weapon, of course, because NIP are once again knocking on the door. Soon go with the pulse bomb. The extra damage was there, and Fraggy's going to fall down. Soon doesn't need to forge any further ahead. That one pick has stopped NIP in their tracks.
Something that we saw as well from Rogue was pretty good ultimate usage when they were playing against the United. Something that led them down a little in Korea, perhaps, but maybe they've worked on it. They haven't really been investing that much in all of these fights. Perhaps it's just simply because they haven't needed to as well. But they've got a lot to work with here. Nano Visor potential, or a Nano Blade, but Zappis with one of his own up top, found 2-3 already. Huge plays coming out from the Finnish Genji as he tears through them, exactly what NIP needed.
Both supports and AKM going down. You really can't ask for too much more than that. And Zappis, who's a self-proclaimed newcomer to Genji, said he only had to pick it up in the last couple of months. And, you know, people have definitely questioned his performances. Definitely worked out there. A Dragon Blade in time saves 9. Didn't even need the Nano Boost. Nicely done.
Only had to use 2 ultimates to manage to take that as well. Now they're in a decent position to storm forwards. Rogue didn't really use anything in response, apart from the Primal Rage, but they're getting these stagger picks, and now NIP can start moving forwards. They've got Fraggy as well in the front line, and both of their support ultimates up.
I'm curious what happened there, because there must be like some miscommunication on the scouting front, because they had a Nano Visor for the Blade, but they didn't manage to get it off. He just appeared in their face with the Blade, and it was too late by then.
It's almost like Zappa's prevented line of sight from being gained on him as he just maybe climbed up the side and came straight in.
Played from Zappis.
And it does have an activation time as well for AKM and Unco to pop that one off. In comes a Dragon Blade off their own though, countered by a Transcendence.
Kynal going to pretty comfortably take down Nico despite that one. The Transcendence was there, but of course a Nano Blade can cut through that. Rogue now starting to set their feet a little bit more, but Fraggy lays the hammer down right in front of Soon. The damage is going to be there, but it's just that one kill. In the meantime, Nox had hit the backline on towards Zupe. Not much can do. It was a trade despite that Earthshatter being committed to the fight.
Fraggy can fly, apparently. He gets booped up in the air there. But he's the front line of defense, and he really can't play that aggressively. Himsy throwing in a self-destruct. Actually picks Nunko. That's a massive pick for the team. Huge amount of health. Now removed from the side of Rogue. And they're all fighting. A big brawl on the cart as they try and get as much as they can out of it.
Now Soon just now trying to chunk some damage in towards Himsy and get rid of that defense matrix. It's a real pain in the neck when he's trying to get this damage down. Someone's whispering in Soon's ear. Got him in his sights, and it is, of course, Masuku coming in with the tactical visor. Now just checking for any stragglers. But NIP were able to push their way through that fight. And it really, I mean, Anna's mobility makes her so susceptible to a fairly well set up self-destruct from a D.Va.
Absolutely. He's taken the opportunity to move over to Zen as well. Not that much better mobility, but definitely going to be playing from opportunities where he should be able to get himself in a safer position. Here's another blade coming out from Zappis, but there's opportunities here for them to answer it, and they've been able to shut it down fairly quickly. NIP didn't really have anything to go alongside the blade.
I mean, just to look at the last fight, Himsy has had a transition to D.Va from Roadhog. And that ulti, when he picked up Unco, he's been practicing that. He's been dedicating so much to D.Va, and he's actually a really good D.Va player.
It's been working out well for him so far. I always kind of thought Himsy would ultimately be the one that played Genji on NIP. He was the only one that actually had showed it in the past on the brief occasion that they brought it out. But still, Zappis has been doing an admirable job so far. He even understood that discretion was the better part of Dragon Blade's valor in that last fight. Now Nico has one of his own. Seems like this game is being defined by Dragon Blades. It might be time to see yet another one.
There you go.
Pretty happy just to sit over the top.
Transcendence replied by the sound barrier as well. Nico trying to make the difference, seeing if he can get a couple of picks here. Fraggy with a Discord orb on him. He's going to get sliced up and served for breakfast. As Rogue completely stopped them in the streets once again, and there's only 1 minute. They're so close to the checkpoint.
They need to push through as well, but not a lot of ultimates sort of on the horizon for NIP. The same, I guess you could be saying for Rogue, but that Transcendence is going to be very important. 2 support ultimates, 2 different support ultimates, of course.
It's going to come down to which support presses the Q button first. Whoever holds on to it the longest is probably going to end up winning the fight.
Interesting. We'll see. It's going to be a battle of nerves there, perhaps, as Unco is definitely poised and ready to hit that Transcendence if he needs to.
Poke battle as well, see who can do most damage to the opposing team. Zup is fallen though as well, so that forces it out of Kynal. And there comes the Transcendence from the other side on Rogue. They're starting to get the picks though over on NIP. They're so close to this checkpoint. 30 seconds, 20 left.
Attack fires was pretty important for Mafia, was so low. You knew he had to be careful about coming forward, and Unco does punish him. Orbs of destruction aplenty to the face. It's a heck of a lot on Zappa's shoulders right now. He needs to do some damage, but comes knocked straight through into the fight there. He and Unco now, it was a 2v2, but Unco really gave a good account of himself to find Kynal. Now the pulse from going on towards the D.Va, and Himsy can't do much about that, trying to get some healing from the Orb of Harmony and get away, but he's going to be desuited and ejected from the payload area as well. Fraggy off in the distance, I believe that was an Earthshatter. Doesn't really seem to have amounted to too much here. He charges onto the payload and over time continues.
It's carrying on, but only just. Nico's mopping up here. He gets out his broom, sweeps away the debris, and that's going to be NIP locked out in the streets. You don't often see teams just get completely stopped before the second checkpoint, especially after they've made so much progress. And they had a more tanky composition, but they just weren't able to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, Fraggy is a god on Reinhardt, but this is like the inherent problem with Reinhardt against dive. It's so hard to get a good Earthshatter off against a good dive team because you will know when they have the Earthshatter up. And you just pressure the Reinhardt so he feels forced to use it before he dies, and maybe he gets one and maybe he gets nothing. In this case, I think Monkey could have started better to get the high ground control and deny AKM soldier up top. Could have worked out.
I can see as well a couple of situations where Fraggy is very much being split away from the rest of his team as well. I'm being forced to turn 180 and deal with, you know, a Tracer and, you know, a Genji sort of nipping at his heels. And the problem is sometimes in this situation when you're playing against dive, the best you can hope for, like the ideal Earthshatter basically turns into, can I get both supports on the ground?
Yeah, or the Tracer in the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you can get the Tracer, that's okay. But obviously, it's a big ultimate. You want as much value as possible, but it's so hard to get off.
I think another problem as well is that NIP were kind of split between going for a super tanky, like triple tank composition and keeping Zappis on a DPS role of either the Tracer or the Genji, and going for something with a bit more mobility and damage. Because if you've got the Reinhardt D.Va, the D.Va is just trying to relieve pressure most of the time there from Fraggy as well.
Just prolong the shield life as well.
And can't help Mafu try and get control over the high ground, or even Zappis. So in the end, Mafu was just sat on the low ground behind the shield, kind of ineffective, not really able to take position. So they were caught in between two worlds. Maybe if Mafu had instead gone to a tank and they'd gone for like a full triple tank, they might have seen more value out of it.
We saw this on Hanamura actually as well, and that Zupit was forced to use Transcendences to protect Mafu while he was using his tactical visor, because he was forced to sit behind a Reinhardt shield, which made him quite a, I guess, a susceptible target here. But Rogue now going to be on the attacking side here. NIP, this composition, they bring the Torbjorn in. What are your thoughts, Whoosh?
It can work. If you win the first fight, you can snowball it. But we'll see. They don't have a Pharah right now. They might switch to it. AKM might go Pharah. We'll see how this first fight goes, though.
They're not running a D.Va as well, so it's not like you can just eat up all the damage with the defense matrix and then try and go into it. They have to get a really good dive here if they want to win the first fight. There's a huge amount of damage already coming out onto NIP, but Nox is the first casualty. And with the tank gone, they're not really going to be able to contest here.
There's no initiator there for Rogue as well. They really just have to sit back, and Nico might try and harass him. Maybe you can get some free damage. I mean, ideally for him, it's mid to long range poke with shurikens to get that next Dragon Blade. He uses that ultimate of his own volition. It's not necessarily him being told to go for it. It's just a matter of him trying to make the difference in the fight.
Still no switch up from their composition, seeing if they can make it work. They've scouted it out though now. They know exactly where it is, and the Torbjorn falls immediately. That's the turret down as well. They've used their nano boost over on NIP to keep Fraggy alive and stall the points, but not really getting too much pressure on any of the squishy targets.
Swoosh, that just fell apart completely for NIP.
Yeah, they just hit the flip. I didn't really see what happened, but they presumably found the Torbjorn, and they just dived in with the Discord, and he just got blown up. They're so good at seeing if someone's out of position, and I think that's what happened. They saw a target and just dived in, and it was done.
They were absolutely clinical when they were playing against the United as well. They seem to be excellent at biding their time and being utterly patient until an opportunity presents itself. They don't seem to just try and leap in out of nowhere. They always have a plan.
Well, I don't wonder what the plan is for NIP now. Nico's found that Dragon Blade and it has left it sheathed. Zappis walks straight into that as well. Unco just dishes him death with the Orb of Discord, the Orb of Destruction shot towards the head. Pretty much the same thing. Discord of Destruction is what's being sown here in the NIP ranks, and Rogue is sailing on a crash course with the finish.
This is gonna be a stagger. Someone has to touch the payload real fast here.
They've got Fraggy with the Primal Rage as well, just to buy time for the rest of their team to get in position. But both supportals have also been used. Real dire straits here for NIP. And the Pulse Bomb up top takes out Mafu, so they don't even have the damage on top.
And the high ground control as well is not going to be present. Fraggy going to have to try and use that Primal Rage, but guess who's up there? AKM, and it don't matter. It's going to be Rogue getting across the line. 4 minutes and 10 seconds they had. Didn't even get to the next checkpoint. That is definitely an utter demolition. And NIP, again, a shadow of their former selves, but we should have known. It's been a long time since then, and Rogue have been up against some quality opposition to keep their edge sharp.
They're so good at pressuring chokes. When they come back from the spawn, they don't let them go for free. They poke, they prod, they make the enemy team think about the decision, like, do we go, do we stay? It's so hard to get through that. And soon gets a pulse bomb in the choke. And you just have to go there, but it's so hard to play against, and Rogue played it perfectly.
It's super effective against the kind of compositions that NIP like to run as well, because they use heroes, the tankier heroes generally get their value through the abilities that they have rather than just the passive amount of damage they're able to do or the mobility or speed that they have. And when you're able to poke from a distance and spread out and just attack NIP from all sides, they're using up either shield health or defense matrix or just damage output, like their own health, to be able to get position. And
exactly.
From there, you're like slowly trickling them down to the point where you can engage, and they're much weaker than if you had just taken that direct fight.
And they never get to deal with their opponents, I guess, in the package they'd like to. Of course, they've got so many, abilities that work over zones as well. I think Earthshatters, think about, D.Va's defense matrix as well. They would rather their enemy team not sort of hit them from so many sides at once. But you said outside, Johan, that you kind of think that, like, NIP found a decent comp sort of in this time while you were screaming them as well. They're working on a 2-2-2 as well, but was this compositional or was this a judgmental error that led them to getting demolished here?
I don't think... It's a hard question, but I feel like Rogue are so good at realizing when someone's out of position and executing the dive. And obviously, you feel like you're safe when you have a Diva, you have your Reinhardt, you have your standard 2-2, which they come up with. But the thing that they're so good at, especially on Umbani, there's so many flank routes. Soon is spotting where the Zenyatta is, and Nico is somewhere nearby, and Nox comes, then the Discord is there, and he just disappears before the Diva can do anything. And I don't think it's a compositional error. I think they might have to adjust their playstyle. Maybe they'll try to peel more for their backline, try to help Zenyatta more, or they could try, if it feels like Suppe can't do much on Zenyatta, just go Ana, because then you actually, when they dive you, you throw a nade, there are at least three purple, so maybe you get good trades then. Maybe they kill two while they kill Ana, you can still win the fight from there.
And I've got the next map as well. I believe it's a control point map here as well, which NIP were frankly atrocious on in that first series as well. They struggled on it. It seemed like they couldn't perceive the fact that this stall was going to be elongated if they didn't try and sort of break it. You know what I mean? They had a lot of heroes that, again, was very much a sustained damage and not really being able to burst targets out. There's no pick potential in their comp, which made it very hard to keep the numbers low or to try and actually get their opponents off the point. I mean, and then you put them up against an opponent like Rogue here as well. Can't be feeling good.
NIP have always been a team where people enjoyed taking them to control. Back when they were excellent at their tanks, it was felt that they would be able to get so much momentum up. They've probably just taken them to a control map is where you're going to get the best value out of that anyway. And now, when you're playing against dive teams that can just rip you to shreds in that sense, it's a bad game mode overall, I feel, for NIP. And they're picking, like, what's either the best for them or the worst for Rogue, and Sanctum's pretty good for them.
And Nepal overall, I think, is one of the strongest King of the Hill for tank comps, especially Sanctum. So this is probably the best chance NIP has got to make this tank comp work.
We'll see now, Himsy on the Roadhog as well, something we really haven't seen a lot of today at all. Still though, double DPS, Zappas and Maffy going to be playing for that role, and again, no surprises from Rogue, I don't know why we even mentioned it. But to start with, Zappas finds Unko. Something he struggled to do in the earlier game for NIP was to assassinate the enemy Zenyatta.
Great flank from him to be able to open things up. Mafu as well. As soon as they lose a single pick, they're losing so much damage and healing from themselves. NIP are able to work this one forward. Simsy manages to save himself there only on 60 health. We really haven't seen that many Roadhogs. As you were saying, Himsy used to be an absolute god tier Roadhog, but there's been a couple of changes since then. It's also much more difficult to stay alive when you've got so much damage on the opposing team and so little mobility yourself.
Avoiding that damage, all you can really try and do is recoup it and take a breather you don't do every now and then. So you can see Fraggy's working off this right side himself mostly. Fire Strikes would like to have that Earth Shatter ready to roll when Rogue want to try and engage, but Unko falls first again, this time to Kinnel. He's down, soon gets himself on towards the point, but it's all about NIP right now. And this fight, Zappas onto AKM. Maffy finding wins over that fight. Of course, a panorama just for good measure. NIP looking quite confident here on Sanctum.
And they've got the tanky composition to be able to hold really close. They can just put Fraggy and Himsy over one side, see if they get a hook as they're trying to engage. Any hook is going to take down pretty much any target over on Rogue as well, and is also super good against Nox. So they've got the ultimates now as well, just to keep the pressure up and lock Rogue out.
Zappas and Nox trade each other out, but Fraggy may not have realized that someone stuck into the backline here. It's a Tracer. The Pulse Bomb goes down, but Fraggy manages to avoid most of the damage. It's the Earth Shatter in response, but that doesn't find a heck of a lot either. He does find AKM, a key part of Rogue's setup here, but Nico's already on the point, showing his own form of chaos, but at least off towards the left side, NIP managed to regroup in that fight.
Look, for a moment there, like Nico was going to be able to steal it out from under them. But instead, NIP falling back to the point. They've managed to get 75% pretty much.
Zappis is doing a great job on the left side alone. It's a really hard position to play. You're alone, you have the scout, and sometimes there can be 6 people rushing in your face. And he's been picking someone off. And even though he died last time, he traded with a pulse bomb on a key target as well. So he's playing really well right now.
Traded at the Winston, of course, and Nox. We can see how crucial, I guess, he is towards Rogue, especially if they want to start a fight just like this one. Straight back over onto the point. Now the tack fires are available from Maffy. This is going to hurt soon. Walks straight into it. What can you do? Himsy also getting the whole hog on towards Nox, and Maffy just getting kill after kill. Easy enough. AKM tries to respond with his own tack visor here, and it may not be too late. He and Unko, the dynamic duo, combined for 3.
That's unbelievable. Wins uses his sound barrier as well, and they stay alive and are able to buy time for the spawners. I thought that was all dead and gone, but Unko saving it from nowhere. Manages to get the pick onto Himsy as well with a couple of headshots. That's unreal play from him. Zappis is trying to bring it back, but this is into overtime. It's carrying on. It looks like Rogue are eventually going to flip it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be the case. They do have the point that two players against the entirety of NIP. Unko came up with 3 kills in that fight. AKM had a tack visor and hit less targets. We could talk about the beautiful tracking meme as much as we like, but Unko was definitely on form.
He certainly was. Zappis is also really neutralizing Soon in this as well. By playing around this right-hand side now from Soon's perspective, he really hasn't been able to get too many flanks because he has to deal with Zappis every time. And look at that again, just utterly ignores Soon and goes in for the pick on the Lucio. He's playing amazingly.
The improvement from Zappis over his last 2 matches has been palpable, at least from what we've seen so far. But it wouldn't be a Rogue fight without Unko finding a key target, and Fraggy has fallen. He's low, but Soon is the distraction. Unko sat behind a defense matrix, and then it was Soon from behind. The D-Suited Diva ain't going to be able to do much here, and Himsy can only really just await his fate. AKM is more than happy to let that be expedited as he drops off the edge. And now it's 47. Rogue are bringing this back. They've got some big ultimates there. Attack visor for AKM, and the Dragon Blade for Nico.
They can try and come back in. They've got the Transcendence. If Fraggy can find a couple of targets here, it'll be absolutely pivotal for them. But it's so difficult when they've got such a spread out composition. Could be key though. Very difficult to switch this one over, especially against the DPS ultimates.
I like to see them speed in and use the Shatter and Transcendence offensively. Try to get the Soldier and the Genji, because they should know they have their ultimates up.
That's the Transcendence right there, Swish now as well. Zappis just gets his Pulse Bomb online, but they've lost Fraggy really early in the fight. Fraggy, who had the Earth Shatter that could have ended all of this tomfoolery, but instead Rogue turned it back around pretty comfortably there as well. Big contributions from all their players. Nox, of course, assisting. I think it was a knockoff at Himsy.
And they're gonna stagger in. They don't have a fast comp.
Oh, this is disastrous.
Yeah, they don't have the mobility to be able to get back in here. 91%. Is there even going to be anybody? Surely Zappis is going to be able to come in and touch the point. They have made it here. But 3 ultimates on the side of Rogue.
99-99 now. There's no going back. Nico, Dragon Blade surely going to have to come out here, and he's been backed up by Nox quite nicely. 2 kills already. One with a Swift Strike, and Unko again finds Fraggy. This Reinhardt finds no solace from the Zenyatta. The Orbs of Destruction chase him all over the map, and Himsy will be desuited. He will be demarked, and that will be the overtime ticking down. Rogue take the first round despite NIP having such a strong start.
That was unreal. The pivotal moment there is just where they use Win's sound barrier and Unko just frags out, and they suddenly managed to flip a fight that looked like it was all but over. And that would have been 99-0, and they just come back. Both teams fantastic when they're in control of the point, it seems. But Sanctum as well, very difficult to flip because those first chokes that you're coming through are so tight.
What do you say about that? Like, I mean, like, should this happen? Should that be expected to see that kind of explosion from those 2 players go 2v4 and then pretty much put the round on their back?
I mean, it's said that Unko is one of the world's best Zenyatas, and he's showing it right now. If you leave him alone and he's free to shoot, and Discord whatever he wants, he's gonna do work. And that's the thing about this Rogue roster. They're so individually skilled, so they can turn any fight in the blink of a moment.
I mean, both he and AKM are missing their glasses, by the way, which they normally play with. So that just blows my mind in general. AKM's been complaining about it. But still, going fine for them now. We're going to move into Village.
And Nico on the Diva as well. They've made that switch off. Maywall coming out from Zappis. He used to play tons of this back when it was a triple tank meta, or 3+1 with at single DPS. He is actually incredibly good. Look at these icicles coming out, catching Soon in the back. And they managed to take that first one. It's great, particularly on Village, because you can just wall off this top left entrance that almost all of the teams come through.
The architecture's all fairly conveniently designed as well. I mean, what are your thoughts in general about May at the moment, especially on a map like this? I mean, outside of what
it
Josh
works on this particular map because it's not only the wall, it's also the surprise factor. The enemy team gotta find a solution real fast. And it seems like they're just diving hard right now.
Oh, yeah, right now I think Rogue are going to think about the final solution in this one. Trying to come forward, but it's Himsy and Fraggy to find their initial kills. You can see Himsy chasing up. He takes responsibility for Nox. He knows he can do probably the most damage to him up close. And NIP are going to hold on here. His ult will be coming around for that next fight.
That's what I'm talking about, though. The May pick. They feel forced to do something. They can't go slow. They need to make something happen. Otherwise, someone's going to get picked off. So it's a great pick. It kind of forces Rogue's hand a bit. And Rogue, they want to set up their dive. They want to find the right target.
Well, Soon's forcing their hand at the moment by going down onto the point. Zappis, I mean, these walls so good on every choke point, including the ones on either side of the point. So if you can get people down there, that was an Earth Shatter going down from Fraggy, but he's getting picked immediately. Unco putting so much damage in. Nox gets the kill in the end. NIP going to be hard-pressed to hold on to this one, perhaps, if Rogue gets started.
Nox taking so much damage already. Himsy, such a thorn on his side, but now the Transcendent's going to come out from both sides here. And you can see the NIP taking so much damage. Zappis was caught outside of that healing area, and Winter's able to take him down pretty comfortably. Doesn't just sit on payloads, ladies and gentlemen, apparently. But now the self-destruct comes on the point. They can't vacate it quick enough. AKM can sprint. He's still caught by the explosion. Himsy with 2, but Rogue can still turn this around.
It's been an excellent stagger, though. They're up to 80%, 79% already. They need essentially one good flip, and they'll be able to take this particular stage. But that was the same last time. All they had to do was flip it once. They were at 99% the entire time. And after 100 seconds plus overtime, they still weren't able to do it. Rogue now have the high ground, the positioning. The Mei not going to be useful when you're not in control. Zap is switching over to the Tracer.
Attack visor for AKM as well. This could be nasty. It's a sound barrier here actually to start the fight. So Rogue play ahead of that ult. They need to get value now in this fight. They need to accost NIP and get these ultimates working. But AKM not finding much. There's too many shields in his way. Dragon Blade for Nico coming out, but he's cut down immediately.
This is a great fight for NIP. They baited out the drop the beat, and they killed the Genji Blade immediately, and they followed their own beat. They should win this fight.
They've got a couple of ultimates still up on the side of Rogue, though. The Soldier and the Pulse Bomb. AKM's been forced down. NIP getting a decent play in onto this point. As soon as they're actually into the point on the inside of it, they can play more of that Death Ball style behind Fraggy's shield. Himsy gets much more value out of his defense matrix as well. And Kinnell as well, obviously, healing everybody up. So it's been a decent situation for them. Surely going to be somebody blocking this from Rogue. 88,
No,
9.
not again. Oh God, it's like career all over again. Fraggy, Earthshatter comes down. It's not as effective though as it probably otherwise would have been here. Still, it's a 2-for-2 fight. Fraggy though swinging hammer pretty much through the entirety of it, and Zappis has a pulse bomb ready to go, but we're in overtime here. Rogue had to go, they had no other choice, and NIP knew it.
Still overtime ticking down. Rogue lost so many players here. NIP, they looked good when they started out this stage. The Mei worked well for them. So much time on the point, but crucially, they were able to flip it.
Yeah, the Mei pick was really good for NIP. It gave them 70% for free, basically, and they didn't even have the ult advantage when they came back for the retake, but Rogue decided to go aggressive with their Lucy ult, and it didn't quite work out. And they managed to kill the Blade and Genji, and then they just dropped their own beat, and it was over from there.
You can see it must be frustrating for AKM there as well, because he's heavily nullified by Fraggy's shield, and also you could see how long he just held onto that attack visor. We knew if we can't desuit Himsy, there's just no point in using this ultimate.
Yeah, that ultimate gets no value unless you're able to come from somewhere completely surprised when you're playing into Fraggy and then Himsy on the Diva as well. It's a counter AKM composition as well. But they played it well. This map, very different though.
Yep, onto Shrine now as well, a little bit more open, as you can see. And for NIP, they're not messing around with Mei early on here. It's going to be the 76 Tracer combo Rogue. Who would have thought? No changes yet. AKM opens up with a beautiful little rocket on towards Zupe there, but it's traded out. It's a 5v5 fight right now, but Maff is going to get chased down by Soon. He is in the back line. He is the back line. But Himsy found 2 himself. He's been chasing down those damage dealers. And it's been all about Rogue right now to flip it in their favor to start.
Both of the Tracers doing a huge amount of work here. Soon is doing phenomenal damage. While all of the tankier people fight forwards on Ninjas in Pajamas, Rogue have to back off a little bit, but Soon's just in the back lines farming them. He's getting so much damage, building up those pulse bombs, getting value out of it. It works really well for them.
Soon creates so much space for Rogue. It's especially against tank comps as well, where you know you have the front line with the Reinhardt. You just circumvent that, try to poke them in the back. They have to focus on so many different angles.
Okay, I'm now off towards the side. He knows that this point is being contested right now, but Rogue need to group up. They want to make their way through. They've lost players to both the support on the side of NIP, though. That's a bit concerning. They were split. It looked like they were trying to regroup, but they couldn't find each other. AKM's Discord needs to back away. Maybe no point in using attack in this coming fight, especially with Himsy right in his gob and a punch to the face to send him packing.
They're putting a lot of pressure onto Nox as well here. He's their solo tank. They're not putting Nico onto the Diva very often in this fixture in general. And that's a lot of pressure on Nox. He has to be able to set up decent positions, lay down shields in the right area, relieve pressure. And if he's just getting chewed through by both Zupe, Mafu, and Zappis, he's really struggling to stay alive. It makes his barrier placement much worse.
Let's see if Soon tries to bomb the D.Va here so they can get a good visor.
This is something that Lunatic can't do very well. No, he's looking for the Zenyatta. I don't think he's found it. No, the bomb goes awry, and somehow the sprightly monk can actually get away from it. Still, Rogue are not done fighting. They've kind of committed to this to a degree, and yeah, the Transcendence comes in. That's pretty indicative. A sound barrier from NIP, though, makes their early damage a little bit harder to get across the line, but AKM has found Zappis. It's a trade out yet again. The Dragon Blade comes out, but Nico's not concerned about trying to de-suit the D.Va. He's looking for Fraggy, the biggest target, possibly with the biggest beard on NIP, but he's happy now with just getting him away from the point as the rest of the fight goes in favor of the French.
They're going to be able to flip this one. Really nice play in their terms of their target selection. They also got Fraggy in a really horrible position. Isolated from all of the rest of his team. Felt like he had to relieve pressure by going forwards and doing damage as well. And then just kind of got siphoned off onto a side passage where he had his back metaphorically and literally against the wall.
Zappis now. Early damage not ideal, needed to back away as well. Didn't actually take the health pack to see the Orb of Harmony. That's a big Earth Shadow though. We didn't really see that. It was off screen. Fraggy. No, we didn't connect. You gotta hate that. He was booped out of the way, and Nico's just gonna chase him down with shurikens straight into the back of the head. There's no coming back from that one. Point still held by Rogue, but it's a 5v5. And now NRP just need to group up and get there.
Clutch little boop from Wins saving. Was that AKM that was just on the floor?
Not even sure.
Can't save him the whole time though. He's gonna die. They're getting a crucial picks. A couple of deaths here and there. Here comes a Dragon Blade out from Nico, seeing if he can save it in the final moments for his team. He's got 84% already on the board. They only really need to delay and retake even. But it's still looking like a decent fight for them. They can get more people back in, but not quite able to pick up the health kit.
That was a matter of seconds there as well.
That gives me nightmares whenever Fraggy runs at me with a hammer. Scariest thing ever.
The Jason Voorhees of Overwatch, except with more of a blunt object. Still just as effective. Zappis has found 2 over that one there as well. So NIP can retake. Rogue, unfortunately, not able to stall for maybe as long as I would like, but it's 99% anyway, so what we're talking about, it doesn't matter. Just did he come back in for a big fight here, and again, think about Himsy, think about mitigating his presence here, because AKM has attack visor ready to roll.
They're going to want to focus on Nox here when he tries to initiate. If they can put a huge amount of damage on him, or even find individual picks on some of the more squishier targets, they're in a good position to force out a support ultimate and then disengage. Here comes Mafu, seeing if he could target that, I think, onto Soon, but doesn't really get value out of it. And AKM on the other side is ripping through them. 3 kills already, a 4th. He didn't even have the tactical visor for that. That was insane tracking. Himsy's found 2 in the backlines, but this is Rogue all the way.
Evisceration and Rogue. Right there, naming the remains of NIP on that one. It's going to go 2-1 here in this best of 5. God, it's so anticlimactic. They cut off the noise like that so quickly. I kind of like the gong, you know, that sound. Right.
Let's see what map the NIP get now. If they get Village again, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick the Mei again, even though Rogue might know they have Mei. Just because of the surprise factor. Can't English.
Sorry, I got the same problem, bro. I'm Australian. It's not nearly the same. We saw Mafu have attack visor forced out of him there, and just that last play was Soon pressuring him so much, and it seems like he wasn't really in position to capitalize on that as well. You can see Soon is such a pain.
That's really good timing as well, because AKM pushed him at the moment Mafu was reloading. It was a matter of milliseconds. Otherwise, that fight could have gone either way.
Village, we're back on here. It's going to be the Mei to start with again. Now, Rogue at least should have a feeling with this, but this is strange for me. It is a Pharaoh with no mercy on Village.
I think they're anticipating the Mei. They realized that they were going to get locked off. They want to get the damage in anyway, and they know that they don't have the Tracer to try and put additional damage into them, but AKM's really not getting that much value out of it. And while he's flying around in the air, having a lovely time, the rest of his team is getting destroyed on the floor.
I mean, I would say that Pharaoh would be probably the least, dominant sort of pick in AKM's pool of heroes.
Especially if they know that Himsy plays a really good D.Va as well. I'm quite surprised.
Let's just hoovers that stuff up.
The plan was to keep them in the choke, but NIP just speed it out and gave the Pharaoh no easy splash damage.
And again, the Mei works out for the beginning portion. They're only up to 10% already. Looks like Roger attempted to get in. A lot of pressure being put onto Fraggy here at the front. He's got the Harmony Orb on him, though. And Zup is the first to fall.
Soon waiting for his opportunity there. He was briefly walled out. That is, opportunistic. I think it's pretty safe to say he just pops out there and gets the extra damage across the line. He gets Mafu and AKM combining very, very nicely as well. You can see the hit squad of Rogue was successful on that one. Soon waited for his chance to spring forth.
See if Nip are able to recontest and take control. Last time they were able to get 70% completely free. They've had to switch the Mei off. Zappis again picking up the Tracer. Last time they were able to flip the point fairly successfully. Just brought all of the death ball down inside the point here on Village. But now they're only up to 26% and Rogue already drawing level.
Dragonblade, surely it's got to be coming in, it does. Death taxes and Nico Dragonblade when there's people around him. There's things you can count on, but he hasn't found much with it so far. Fraggy, it's like a gladiator battle there. I love that television show. I tell you what's nothing that NRP want to be seeing right now. Nico doesn't get much with the Dragonblade, in all fairness. Zupe doesn't seem to have achieved all that much with his Transcendence. Maybe he came in a little bit late in the fight. He's trying to turn it around, but soon was hot on his heels.
Really great patience from Nico there. He pops the blade, he knows they have ultis. He just baits them out and he turns on Fraggy, who's in a bad position.
They really didn't need to use Zuppy's ultimate there, though, because Himsy had used his self-destruct, and that basically stops Nico from being able to chase him anyway, because he doesn't want to go into that room and slice people in case he dies, like, midway through his Dragon Blade. But Zuppy kind of got scared that he was going to commit anyway, and decided to pop both ultimates. And now Ninja's in a difficult position to retake, and Rogue have all those ults.
Kinel at least has sound barrier ready. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see NIP play ahead of that one. Just Kinel will just let it go. And again, scouting's pretty important here though as well to find out where Rogue is if they want to get the best bang for their buck from the sound barrier before it expires. But we've got a Transcendence and a sound barrier on the side of Rogue to respond with. This Earth Shatter had best be huge.
Really difficult to make it work as well. Both teams just poking each other. They haven't actually started to commit yet. Both got the sound barriers, as you were saying. Those are going to be the first ones that come out. There was Fraggy with the Earth Shatter. Did he catch anything?
No. I don't think so, no. I think he was hoping to catch maybe one of the Genjis on the high ground. The problem is with Reinhardt's changes now as well. You don't get caught from it at certain heights from the ground. I think it's like 2 meters now instead of 3.
Yeah.
So if you're used to them being a certain height and knowing you can shatter them, you might need to get used to it.
From the apex of your double jump as Genny, you don't get shattered anymore.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to shatter the Genny, but unfortunately he didn't get him.
And that's Rogue. Like, they used just both of their support ultimates towards the end. There's nothing that NIP can do. They've kind of used everything that was in their arsenal already. And there goes Nepal.
I would like to see NIP try their classic triple tank with the Ana and the Zarya. Just to counter, because Anko has so many Transcendences. Just to try to get a good Zarya and try to get him purple and try to snowball the fight from there and play really up in their face. Don't let them get out through chokes for free. And just pressure, pressure, pressure. Don't let them set up the dive.
I mean, Dante is your... Is it Dante that's your support player?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, does he play the Ana and Zen role normally?
Yeah, exactly.
He does, doesn't he? Does he prefer to play Zen? Is it a kind of thing like, oh, I'm kind of sick of Ana, like I want to frag? Is that a mentality that you sort of see, even, you know, if he's being jokingly about it?
He likes to play Zenyatta, and he's really good on Zenyatta. But on certain maps, Ana is better, I would say, debatably on Numbani defense. Ana is really good. Because most teams nowadays like to push to main. If you get an Ana nade in main, like you won the fight. But it's really a preference. If he feels like he's getting pressured a lot, and it's like nothing you can do about it, and as I said before, you can just switch to Ana, and you can get good trades from that if they dive you. It's really a preference thing, I think.
I mean, I'm kind of leading you down the garden path because I knew that Zuppe was such a prolific Ana player, you know what I mean? Like, he was very, very good at that. Like, I can understand Fraggy not playing Winston and playing a lot of Reinhardt because he always played that, right? But in the case of Zuppe as well, he was, in my opinion, one of the, you know, especially at the time when, you know, players like Hidan as well were performing so well on that Ana pick. But is this stubbornness from NIP? Do they need to just pull a Winston out, go for something a little bit more mobile? Is Fraggy's got to be getting frustrated right now. He's getting no value for his shatters at least.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick Winston, honestly. He's been trying Reinhardt for 2 maps now, and every shatter he has not been that successful.
That's a nice way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him switch to Monkey. I think it would be way more effective because right now, if he's like Nico and Soon are just in his back, they're harassing the back line, he doesn't know which way to shield. I mean, he knows, but it's so hard to like decide because he's probably getting communication that we're getting harassed in the back line. So he's like, do I go back? Do we push forward? It's a really hard decision to make. And with Winston, you can just take control directly, like get that instant map control and work from there.
Here's the thing, though. I think NIP are aware that if they try and just go head-to-head with these kind of divey compositions with Rogue, they're into dangerous territory.
Well, E United tried the same thing.
They did, and E United have generally been better at it than NIP have as well. You don't think dive when you think NIP. So I think as a game plan, as a strategy, perhaps even for the entire tournament, if you have a style that has historically worked well for you and might put off other teams because it's something different or whatever, rather than attempting to play like what is considered the meta or considered the most useful at that point in time, should they not just play to the strengths, go back to their triple tanks that worked really well for them, that they had excellent team play with, and try and build from that?
Yeah, I think so. Now it's Hanamura though, so that's not a really good map for triple tank, unfortunately. This looks like they're gonna try to Reinhardt Diva again, and the way they like to do it is they like to go behind the map here and go from behind the point and take the high ground from the enemy team.
They do it on Numbani as well, don't they? On Numbani first point, we've seen Nip try that in the series.
It's really smart.
What's the mindset behind trying to wrap in general?
You deny the high ground, you force the enemy team to rotate, and sometimes you can get lucky and you get someone called out if in a bad position.
Yep.
And I think Rogue, I think they will out-rotate most of the times, but I think it's the correct approach to do when you're playing triple tank. You can't just go in on a target.
I mean, NIP outmaneuvered Cyclones completely, well, Cyclones should I say, completely on last time they played this one map. But we see that, you can see, yeah, Fraggy a little bit uncertain about coming forward. He got completely chucked down very early in that fight.
That's
now NIP.
For you.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's super nasty. Have they got a pick here, though? That's the question.
The Discord orb on him, but he's not falling that weak, actually. Himsy's doing a great job at just trying to relieve pressure, but he's actually so close to being demeched as well. They're getting a decent engage here. They're actually getting through the doorway without taking too much damage, and they've traded a couple of kills. So things aren't too bad here for NIP, but they're still struggling to get through the doors and move around the right.
Pulse Bomb now out on towards the shield, and Fraggy gets caught by it somehow. That should be the opening for Rogue to now get these interlopers out of their temple, soon to find a second. Zuppe and Fraggy being down, the rest of NIP, it's a sheepish backward walk, tail between the legs style.
And Rogue has seen what NIP likes to do, so they're not giving them the space. They're denying them.
Denying that side room, right?
Yeah. They're giving them no space at all, and let's see what NIP can come up with.
This was the map that E United were able to take away from Rogue, but Rogue didn't look that bad either. It was an incredibly close map between the two of them. Rogue looked excellent on the attack, so NIP in shaky territory if they're not able to do anything here on their attack. Still 2.5 minutes left. They got the ultimates to work with as well, but they don't really want to pop some portals just to get through the door, and that's not going to help either.
Zappos was supposed to be the instigator in the backline, taking a little bit of attention away from key players like Fraggy, but instead he gets fragged out immediately. High ground, AKM doesn't even bother to go for attack visor. In that case, he knew the one kill would be enough to stop NIP again in their tracks.
Got to wait for him now. 10-second spawn, see if he can reconnect with the rest of the team. A little bit longer to get him in position again. They can see if they can broach the checkpoint, but here comes the nano boost.
That's right, we saw the Earthshatter coming out. That was perfect timing, the bubble come down exactly when it had to, and another failed Earthshatter from Fraggy, and Nox is just in his head. Nicely played out from that man. He, of course, benefited from the nano boost, but there's a Transcendence still remaining for wins on the Zenyatta, by the way, which is not something we see every day, I should mention. Soon as well, working around the side. Zappos struggling to find any space to work in. Zuppe finds wins at the very least, but there's a pulse bomb here. Mappa needs to make good work happen with his tack, but he gets blocked out. A lot of it, at least gets the D-suit.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to pick up the Baby Diva as well with the help of Zappos. They actually got a huge amount of value out of that one. Finally broke through after they'd taken a couple of picks over to the right-hand side, just burst through the front door. And 1.5 minutes left in their time bank. They're going to get additional time here as well, but that was reasonable play from NIP, I think.
That looked really good for Rogue. They got key ultimates out, but Super managed to get a really key pick on wins there, who had the Transcendence, so they snowballed from there.
Yeah, of course. Wins on that Zenyatta. In fact, he's played it before, actually. I believe there was one map, though, back when he used to play Zarya, he actually flexed onto Zenyatta for whatever reason. The game was different then, but again, he's probably enjoying a little bit more here, but he's vulnerable. He needs to be aware of that. And NIP, especially, I think Zappa's got 3 kills while we're watching Maffy with the tack visor as well, so that was very crucial.
Aiming to take top right here with Fraggy. They're not really going to contest them, Rogue, waiting until they get a little further down to actually collapse on them. But they've got a lot of mobility with Nox and Nico just to apply a lot of pressure still. This Diva's going to come in handy.
And Nico would just love nothing more than to put Fraggy in a lose-lose situation, right? Turn around and shield my exploding mech, or shield the damage coming at you. You can't have both. And that's very nasty for NIP, especially with the way that they're set up here. They need to be careful and not let him get behind them.
NIP still setting up position. They want to try and deplete a couple of resources over on Rogue and also generate ultimates themselves, but Rogue are generating their ultimates way quicker. They've got 5 on the board and Nox is close to his. This is going to be a full party.
That's a self-destruct in the backside there as well. Fraggy needs some healing, but no one's there to do it. Zuppe finally returns now, knowing it's safe to come out of hiding as the explosion is done. No one's fallen on either side yet. Fraggy is low, but he's been slowly healed up. So that was a Diva ult to little avail. Now the Transcendence is being forced out, but it doesn't matter. Mafu goes down regardless. Nox combining well. And of course, it was a beautiful Bionade from Unco to secure that one. If I'm not mistaken, he was Transcendence up, and now Nox is just going to juggle the juggler, so to speak. And NIP are going to be forced out.
I don't think NIP are going to be too bothered about that, though, because on that push, it was just a single push. They committed, what, a couple of ultimates to it, including Zappis's Pulse Bomb, and Rogue had to invest quite a lot just to hold on.
Yeah.
You know, they only have 2 left now, and Unco's going to be pretty charged, pretty fast to charge the Nano Boost as well, but NIP have an opportunity here, a window.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to see them speed mid with Lucio and go out late with Zenyatta Soldier top right. See if they can make something happen.
I think Rogue not giving him any room to breathe at all. Nox has already jumped on top of him now, and the Transcendence as well is going to make this that much easier. But TakeOver needs to be responded to. You can see how quickly, desperately, Nox is trying to get to grips with Mafu would prevent his damage coming out. But he can't really. Wince had already fallen before the fact, and now AKM is playing shield shooting simulator, and Frankie just bops him over the head for his audacity to even challenge.
NIP are getting a really great exchange here, but it's still difficult. They've got 2 ticks, but these spawners are going to be coming in thick and fast. And Rogue have been pretty good at delaying so far. Nox really good at being able to stay alive. Zuppe keeps his team alive as well with the Transcendence of his own, but Mafu's still up there just peppering damage into everybody with his Soldier.
And I mean, the mental bandwidth of Rogue right now is 2 tacks to go up and deal with him, at least the way it seemed. But AKM found him across the map with a Helix Rocket. That's brilliant. Now he's been neutralized on that high ground. We're hearing so many of these meat shots. It's great. Imzy just slapping people around the head, and it was soon to fall that time. Zappas gets a decent on Nico. Back to the Mega, and that might be enough. 2/3 for Ninjas in Pajamas.
Soon making plays on the point.
Man.
It looked really good. I mean, Himsi was not even blocking the Soldier, but Fraggy did the exact same job as the Diva was supposed to do. He was in the face of the attack visor, blocked most of it. They had the positions, but then soon was left unnoticed, and he managed to snowball the fight and kill the Zenyatta.
They didn't even invest all of their ultimates to be able to take that. That was kind of just throwing bodies into it and seeing if they could come up with a decent end result. The bonus for NIP, though, is that they have 2 ticks already, and Zappas nearly just stole another half away. They only really need to get 1 good fight here, and they've got it.
Oh my god, Nox is keeping 3 players from Rogue occupied. Both supports and AKM are at his mercy. He's going to jump out now as well. He was hoping to secure the Mega first, I think, but it's not going to be possible. Mafu wants to try and walk through the door, but guess who's back? It's Nox. He does go down eventually. The bubble will obviously help him, but Mafu couldn't do too much trying to walk in. So selfless from Nox. He's low, didn't even get the Mega, and still jumps on Mafu to stop him from fragging out.
He's an absolutely great Winston as well. It's been a fantastic transition for him, moving over from the Lucio to the main tank role for this team. IP forced to use it. Oh, that's a great Earth Shatter, though, from Fraggy. Catches AKM just as he was coming up top with the Nano Visor, and both ultimates were actually used before he died as well.
I'm pretty sure, though, they hit AKM with the kitchen sink on the way through, but it don't matter because NIP have managed to capture this point. Started off getting 2/3 and then a nice completion. AKM could have gutted them there.
That was so key from Fraggy. So key. And AKM, is he gonna expect a Reinhardt walking up behind him,
He'd be
high
guilty
ground
from
and
that.
shattering? That's insane.
Oh,
well
man.
played.
All right. 2 points were gained there by NIP. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, they even had some time to spend outside of that. So have about a 43 seconds time bank after that, which is pretty impressive. I mean, we're seeing this Reinhardt being used in rather innovative ways as well. And you can see the 90 was Fraggy there, but Himsy was immediately on top of AKM up there, even if the Earth Shadow didn't come. Who's not a happy boy? Oh, Dylan. But, I mean, this is what you should expect. I mean, he is definitely going to be treated as a priority on this Rogue roster, and you can see that NIP really want to play against that.
He just couldn't see Fraggy coming without his glasses. Didn't realize.
Oh, he's well tilted about that. It's not even, it's like 2 things you don't talk to him about right now: Korea and his eyesight.
It is unfortunate. I mean, if you want playing at a big LAN, you want to be able to see properly, right? You want your glasses.
Oh, you just don't want to be in a high-performance situation with any kind of handicap. It just makes you super mad.
To be fair, though, you really can't tell. AKM has been playing fantastically throughout this tournament. I mean, he's such a consistent high-level player for Rogue. You could almost say that about everybody on their team, but AKM and Soon, I think, in particular, have been standout players across, I don't know, months and months.
And even his positioning, that's the scary part for me. He's always in a spot where you least expect him. Like even Cyclone, who plays dive, where the priorities are either the Zenyatta or even the soldier. Like AKM barely died first in any of those fights. His positioning is really smart. He comes out at the exact right moment when he knows the fight is going on, and he just cleans up.
Well, now it's time for Rogue to step up to the plate and see what they can deliver as they attack on Hanamura. And of course, this time Wins will be back on that Lucio. So no Unco Anna, Wins Zenyatta. That's not a thing here. They're going to go a little bit more standard in terms of what we expect from Rogue anyway.
2-2-2 on the defense as well from Ninjas in Pyjamas. See if they can block off the entrance, but Soon's already found his way behind. Discord on him, but that's not going to matter.
Something Zappas could not do, by the way. At no stage could Zappas actually penetrate this far into the back line of Rogue. You got cut down every time, so that's something in itself.
They've got so many more players on Rogue that are able to go back and try and deal with him and put damage on him as well. Ninjas in Pyjamas comp just have to focus on the front line and focus on keeping the majority of Rogue out, even if Soon's harassing them from the back. So far doing a reasonable job at it as well, but lots of time on the board.
Yeah, I mean, Zappas has been on a run right now as well, just pretty much cleaning up that fight. The last 10 seconds was a cleanup. For those of you wondering why Unco was waiting, it's because he knew it was done.
I would like to see them Discord as soon as he goes in, and Kinnel just chase him as he did just previously. And try to deny Soon the space he wants.
Pressure him as soon as he shows his head there as well. Don't give him any room to breathe. Nico! Oh, it's having a bit of an intimate moment with Fraggy, I suppose, there as well. He's forced the charge right on out. Fraggy not really interested in getting to know him better. That's a big pulse bomb, though, and the headshot coming out on towards Nox. Zappas doing work.
Zappas is on fire this game, and the previous games.
He's playing great. He's been the flex players so much for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Back when they were playing the triple tank, Zappas was whatever they needed. That's what Zappas would play. But he's never really been like a huge star player. He just had a huge amount of versatility, I think.
He feels like an Emong, you know, it's like a European Emong as well, where he's very much just doing what needs to be done, provide utility and just get involved.
But he's really having a performance today. He's neutralized Soon in a couple of key situations as well, but Soon's on the warpath now.
Well, that's a rare miss with a pulse bomb there, but Mafu not really missing anything. It's because he can't, actually. But he doesn't care. He comes through the Dragon Blade. It takes some bravery to look Attack Visor in the face and still swing for the fence, and he found it. And now Zappas in the 1v1. Now could be a grudge behind this one. He gets absolutely slaughtered. AKM, of course, to be fair, had a Helix Rocket. We'll give that to him. A Rogue on the point now to capture.
Here's one of the problems, though, with switching your compositions. If you're not running a comp that you're comfortable on both A and B defense, you have to switch it up. And Zuppes made a swap here from the Zen over to the Ana, and that resets the ultimates right back down to 0. Rogue had already invested their support ult from Unco as well as the Dragon Blade, so they're not in a snowbally situation too much, but that's definitely an ult that they're going to be aware is missing.
And AKM has the visor here. Let's see if he tries to make a play with it, and if Fraggy can find him again with the Shatter. That would be great.
We'll see where he tries to set up there. Another pulse bomb foray attempt for Zappas, but it doesn't really catch. Nico took some residual damage from that, but Rogue weren't really invested in that fight, so they just stepped back.
This is also somewhere where Fraggy could get massive value out of his Shatter as well. It goes down. I don't know how many he quite managed to hit, but it must have been a couple, surely. Saved by the sound barrier, though, it looks like, as Rogue is still turning this one.
Yeah, maybe 2 kill or maybe 2 knockdowns for him on that one at the very least. Zorpef finds AKM. You see it's a quick duck back to the spawn room for him to make sure he's healthy. He knew that fight was essentially already over and the rest of Rogue had already absconded. Another setup yet again. Self-destruct still in hand, and Kinnel does at least have that sound barrier. There was that one nervous fight where
Rogue
had
is
no
about
defensive
to have
ults.
5 ultimates, and Kinnel has a sound barrier. Let's see if it uses the sound barrier, the visor, or if they're gonna hide from that, or the blade.
Sound barrier really doesn't give you too much protection as well. Rogue have got to be smart with how they force it out, though. If they put pressure on Kinnel, he has to pop it, though. He doesn't want to die.
Dragon Blade going to come through. He might not have a choice in this one side show. Nico, though, again, discretion the better part of Valor for a Genji that's on the front lines. He gets behind the pillar. He avoids that self-destruct. So, you know, in turn, nicely done by Himsy to zone out with that move. Unco on the high ground, going to use that Transcendence to make sure that AKM is being kept tip-top, but as the Pulse Bomb connected on towards Unco, Zappa's looking for more targets there, but he needs to back away from the fight with AKM, who coincidentally has that tack visor. Removing him right now would be massive, but Mafu has one of his own. Looking for AKM, has to hide it for the most part. There's a bubble in his way as well.
They're switching over to the Mei as well, going full stall comp. They've got the nano boost available for them, but they really can't contest the positioning of AKM up top. Taking the nano boost has Mafu as he's behind the point, seeing if he can get any kills. They're just going for the delay at this point, waiting for their spawners, seeing if they can get one last push onto the point. There's no tank available for Rogue.
I think we're pretty much done here. I think, yeah, it might be these two, and that could be it. Depends how closely together they die. The boot, will that get it done? You better believe it. It's going to be Rogue that get it done with 3 minutes and 34 seconds up their sleeve as the smoke clears.
Fraggy was actually trying to deny the soldier high ground, but Wins did a great booped him down. And from there, with their comp, it's really hard to get to them. But Sapis was trying. He bombed the Zenyatta, he did all he could. But in the end, he cleaned up with the visor, and on top of that, they got dropped the beat. So it was the thought was there, but unfortunately, it didn't get executed.
Mafi looked so overwhelmed there towards those final moments when he sort of had that tactical visor,
Yeah.
but he didn't know if he could even peek out. There was an AKM up on the other side, there was a Winston in front of him, and he was just sort of not really sure where to put himself.
He doesn't have the health to be able to peek as well. Like if you put it on one of your tanks, or if he was playing another hero with a slightly larger health pool or an ability to defend himself in some way, sure, he can go out and try and do some damage, but he's just a walking target as soon as he pops his head out there. And when NIP were on the attack and posted Mafu up on the high ground, it was a snipe helix rocket from AKM, right, that took him out.
Yeah, nutty.
That's just crazy. Like, if you put your soldier up in that position, you don't expect him to get taken
It's like
out.
it's supposed to be your paradise, right? No
Yeah.
one can answer you. Their soldier needs to stay on the low ground, and he just laconically flicks a helix rocket and catches him. It's
Yeah, just
so
a
dumb.
direct from the low ground. That's just the level of individual skill that you're dealing with there. To be fair to them, though, NIP have put up a decent attack on Hanamura so far. It looks like an identifiable weakness, perhaps, for Rogue.
NIP out of the gates now as well. They have under a minute remaining. It was a minute max, and that's all they're going to get. Mafu on Nazario. I haven't seen this in ages, actually. It's because he doesn't really play the Tracer at all. So, I mean, Zappas and Mafu will both trade that role. But now you can see Unco in the backline just churning out that healing as much as he can. And Nico looking for the off ankle already.
Triple tank, but with the Zenyatta as well, so not as much healing, but lots of shielding. They should potentially take less damage. Might be difficult for Mafu actually to get charge and damage out, though, himself.
Yeah, especially when there's 1 minute left. I don't really know the thought behind Zarya. Maybe they thought they could bubble the D.Va and he could make a play on either the Genji or like the soldier. But let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's 10 seconds left, so there's no choice now. NIP have to stand and deliver, and they've got no ultimates to work with here. Soon's going to have a pulse bomb. He's the first up. Nico not far away from a Dragon Blade, but Soon finds Fraggy now. Now he's going to push for more. There was a shield on towards Zuppe, but it doesn't matter. He left a little present behind. It was a pulse bomb. 3 kills over the course of that fight, and the Dragon Blade now going to come out. Nico's looking just to de-suit the D.Va and send her packing now, looking for the Tracer, and Zappas nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Rogue are coming for you. And that's going to be it, holding them outside of the gate. And now they've got ages to get 1 point, boys.
They've got so much time. It's going to be almost impossible for NIP to full hold point A for, what is it, 3.5 minutes, something like that. Super difficult situation for them, but they kind of set this up based on their attack on the low ground. They didn't even really get time on the point as well, so Rogue, they only have to take a single tick.
I think their thought actually might have been to... They noticed on the first attack they were getting rolled in the low ground when they tried to go behind the point. So they think maybe if we beef up with Zarya, we can save someone with bubble, we can actually get position behind them. But as you could see, Rogue just surrounds them, gives them no space, and they get stuck in the choke.
It's all on the table at the very least. NIP, do you really know what's on the line? If you're just joining us as well, a win here for Rogue doesn't actually finish the series. It could go to 4-0, which would obviously, maybe NIP would rather in the series early if that was going to be the case here, but they have definitely have not been quite up to the standard that Rogue has been producing so far. Love me some artwork. Thanking you. And will we see... No, I don't know if we'll see the Sombra here. I mean, give me some of that. Give me some of that libero play over the top wall, hacking someone in midair. That's what I want.
That'd be so good. You know, Rogue always claimed that they had versatility to their roster, but always chose just to do the triple DPS because it worked for them. It fits their individual talent really well.
I wouldn't
But
be surprised if he picks somewhere it's really good against NIP's comp.
it definitely. He's
Unco
gonna go
on-
for it. I
Yeah.
think this is a first for him.
Unco's playing Tracer as well. I mean, what is life? It's going to be single support and Sombra, which is not so rare in itself. It's just kind of who's playing what that I find crazy. Soon's in though, straight away. Going to go straight forward here. He's going to be looking for Kinnel, or at least he just takes note of his position. Doesn't quite get the hack off properly. And Unco got caught by Mafu as he tried to make his way up. This leaves Soon on his own.
Soon could be an incredible. I mean, he's got the skill set on Tracer to be potentially an incredible, like, aggressive Sombra as well. But the idea here is that he just wants to charge up that EMP, and a single fight is going to get them a tick. Just absolutely. There is no question of it. 3 minutes on the clock. He's already up to 60% as well.
He just got landed on by a monkey and cut in half by a Cyber Ninja all at one time. There's just nothing you can do about that. Soon moved off. Can't save himself with the translocator though. It's not Unreal Tournament anymore. And Unco's going to find the head of Zope though as well. Traded back by Fraggy. He gets the charge on the big body of Nox, but Nico's going to go straight towards him here. And this is falling apart. It's a shambles. And then IP have got no one to blame but themselves. Rogue pushed straight on through. And they will have this map and make it 3-0.
They saw the soldier behind the rock. They all dived him at the same time, and he just vanished. Like, they're so good at finding the
Now
target.
you listen. I didn't do anything wrong. He shot me with a rocket. He's cheating.
I'll tell you what, though.
Exactly what he's saying.
It's bad news if you lose Hanamura, or basically you lose any map before the Sombra has even charged the EMP. It's the fastest charging ultimate in the game, and Soon was only at 80%, and they'd already won.
Rather
I was
indicative,
expecting him to
Yeah.
just sit and poke in the choke and feed on the health pack and then go in and clean house, but finished earlier than that.
I mean, people normally use it on defense. I mean, not on Hanamura normally, but on the rest of the assault map pool. It's normally seen on the defensive Sombra because you can take control of the health kits. You can lock them down really early on, and the offensive team can't use them. You generate your ultimate super quickly, and you like chain defensive fights. But on the offense, if you just generate one ultimate, there's a potential just to take that on assault.
And that can be quite devastating as well. And we've seen it in some cases used purely for hack one target. Hack one target, make that Reinhardt not be out of shield.
Or
like that
Diva.
Zaya,
That's
or
also
Diva,
good.
like,
Yeah.
and you just roll over. It's ridiculous the kind of impact you can have, of course, and you're still a body, of course, some are more geared towards a utility, approach to the game, still can do damage, and if you track like Soon, then you're laughing.
Unco on Tracer as well. What was going on there?
Yeah, it might have been a bet. I think it might have been something savage. I mean, like Unco, have you seen what Unco plays in ranked as well? Like he doesn't really plays it. He just plays like McCree, like Genji, all this stuff. Like Tracer, he just doesn't care. So, I mean, yeah, but the composition, single support is not that shocking. It's just
No.
maybe Unco didn't want to play Sombra.
Yeah.
It's a good comp. The thought behind it is, as I said, feed the Sombra and try first with one EMP. If you don't win the fight, you will have a second EMP when you have all your other ultimates up, and then you just blow everything. And
One
with
every
that,
fight,
you should
yeah.
win the fight.
It's just insane. I mean, that's the way it is right now as well. And Sombra, I mean, that's something that has been addressed as well. I mean, on this kind of map, though, I bring it back. We've seen some really, innovative plays with that. And especially as a team who totes a Reinhardt on most occasions as well, you are extra susceptible to that kind of approach to the game. So, I really have to wonder about NIP. I do. They've definitely been looking for their color, in a big way. Yeah. It's been a long time since Triple Tank, and I don't think they were fooled either. I don't think they thought we're going to be the best forever. They knew the game changed. They kind of broke the game to get in pole position in the first place here as well.
Yeah.
But you can see it's actually some issues that are more fundamental than the strategy. It's also like, what can we play? What are we confident playing? What can we break the game with?
Back before they used to use the triple tank compositions, NIP did play like the 2-2-2, the back, what everybody else did, and they were underwhelming, to say the least. They were like a mid-tier 2 team. They really weren't going anywhere. But it coincided with the time that they actually got picked up by NIP, previously being SG1. And the fact that they had more time to invest in the game, plus they found a meta that really worked for them and fit their individual talents, I think let them explode onto the scene. And now they've got enough experience that even if the meta is horrible for them, they're never going to drop right back to where they were. But they're definitely having a slump in form at the moment that's in part due to the fact that the compositions they like to run are so susceptible to being picked off from different angles. And maybe they just don't... It could also be a mindset or like a leadership, a calling kind of thing.
They could change one pick. Maybe it's crazy. They could go for Protect the McCree. Puts up some McCree, they have the Diva, the Matrix, they have the Reinhardt, they have Orb on him, and they just try to ball, and they find a pick off, and from there they explode with Lucio speed. And I know from playing with Zappis in ranked and whatnot that he's a really good McCree.
Well, that's what he used to play.
And he's
originally.
on fire right now, so I would like to see him trying the upper McCree.
I mean, last year when we were here for the first takeover, I mean, yeah, there was no hero limit, right? So, you know, we don't go on about that. But he was playing McCree, and even after that as well, when we did eventually sort of go for a one hero limit approach, it was something that he played quite a lot of. I probably put him in a similar box as maybe people like Bromas and Crew, who definitely dabbled with it a lot. But this is the kind of guy that was playing Winston or May or Zaya or whatever he needed to be played in this team as well. He's just like one of those super versatile players.
Yeah, he plays everything, but I would say his hit scan is the most scariest thing.
Sure.
Even though he's great on everything, you see in his tracer, his tracking, and I think you can, in this case, you could try the McCree, and maybe you have success, but you need to spice something up by now, I think.
Yeah, and they have to find a style that works for them. Maybe, though, this isn't the game that they want to focus on so much about winning, but just finding that style, you know, tweaking different things and finding something that feels good for them, no matter what the end result is. They're going up against a Titan here, and they're not Titans anymore. You know,
Right.
They had their time and kind of, in a sense, failed to capitalize on it. They didn't get a championship win out of their time at the top, whereas Rogue definitely have. This is one of the most storied, trophied rosters, or not roster, but like organization, team, the core of it. Within Overwatch, they've got the talent,
And I mean, the brand as well has been around for so long. I like this. Yeah, I mean, we're being pointed towards something that is worth maybe taking note of here. It's Nox on Reinhardt. Well, I haven't seen this in so long. This is a protector of a McCree comp, essentially, with the AKM there as well.
Yeah, this is really interesting. They're running Ana Zen as well, so they've got like
They're playing
very
it into a
interesting
diva, though.
composition.
Yeah, and they know him. He plays diva. He hasn't really played anything else. So I don't know what the go is here. But
Maybe
Nox
it's
has been.
another bet.
Nox, hey.
Maybe it's another bet.
Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. To be fair, if any team's going to start like getting a bit BM after winning a few games, it's absolutely these guys. Terrible. Let's see how this one plays out though as well. Because Nox has said, I can play Reinhardt, I just haven't had to. He did have to learn it for the World Cup when he represented France, by the way. He eventually switched to a flex role on that team, but he did play a lot of it, and he took it quite seriously, that the preparation is. So I wonder what NRP think of this comp, because you don't see Rogue switch gears very often.
You definitely don't. This has got to be thrown a spanner into the works as well, because they've had 3 maps here to figure out the tempo of Rogue and start to adjust their rosters and their playstyle. They're running triple tank into this with Zappis on Tracer, and now they're having to adapt on the fly, and you don't often say that when you're playing against Rogue.
Soon as well, being very mindful of the fact that Wins is vulnerable. He saw Zappa zip underneath him and he checked the position of his Zenyatta. Now trying to get a bit of damage in over the top, but he's struggling. Takes a fair bit himself, trusting his healers though to keep him up alive. You can see Unko really trying to do the best he can. He gets the headshot on Zappas though as well. That's how you can really break apart this kind of composition with McCree. Flankers beware. The range is on the ride.
Gotta say, Soon and AKM both have kind of similar hero pools, but they're both excellent at those hit scan roles. And Soon, dude used to play for Misfits. He was there, McCree, just partnered up so excellently alongside Tweak, and they just blended those 2 styles together with the full French team. And they've got a ridiculous powerhouse of DPS players, particularly the hit scan with AKM and Soon.
I would like to see an IP switch to a Monkey Genny Tracer right now, because both Sen and McCree is playing on top of gas. It's a really close dive distance, and they might can punish them with that comp.
Yeah, I wonder though, they've been quite, I won't say stubborn, but they've been definitely fixated on having this Reinhardt still a fixture in their team composition. Nox gets battered back a bit, and yeah, he knows he's done. There's no way you come back from that one. Zappa sticks the pulse bomb on him, and he only had 150 HP. Self-destruct comes in, so that Transcendence could be rendered useless if it's on the other side, but AKM's going to be knocked towards the ground, and we know Fraggy likes to do this. He likes to accost people, and again, going to give AKM the slapping around with the hammer that he maybe had coming.
Rogue's the second air shattered nanovisor.
Yeah, and it seems like he's kind of saving them. He doesn't want to use them against the Rogue comps just to try and get value out of it. He's just saving them for specific circumstances. How did Nox...
Oh, he turned it around. He actually hit the charge. That was beast. Dude, he was going to go down to the next swing of the hammer. That was sick timing.
If we're doing some kind of tally to see how good Nox is at the Reinhardt, then there you go. There's like 1 point for him. He's playing against a pretty phenomenal one as well.
Normally, Reddit, I don't give you permission, but just run with this. I want to see 3 top-page articles, a statistical analysis of Rogue's Reinhardt play in the 10 seconds that we saw it. I want references, I want graphics, I want everything. Kirby's here. He can do it for me as well, I'm sure.
So
Don't
is
forget the diagram
Barrow
as well.
Oh, that's right.
Here comes Mafu as well with the Graviton. They've built that up. They got the Pulse Bomb as well. Really nice combo that they can use. And Zup has been super fast at charging it. Here comes the Graviton. Only AKM caught though. Nox not even in it just towards the end, but the follow-up is there anyway. I don't know quite how they caught both of the supports in there, but that's well executed. Got to give him credit.
Yeah, I mean, fortuitously as well, Nox was eventually pulled into that Graviton Surge, and simultaneously, Himsy was using that self-destruct. So it's very, very hard for the supports on the side of Rogue to sort of know where to stand when that's coming down. They thought they were safe, and then, you know, your right hand gets pulled off the edge there. So they're getting forced back quite a lot here, switching back to something very much more their speed.
That was a fun experiment, says Rogue, but we're back to normal now. Back to your regular programming.
Well, Zappos, though, going to be giving Wins a bit of an interruption there as well. His airtime's being cut short on this one. Zappos still on that payload. He's found that Lucio. He's looking for a little bit more, but he's also very cognizant of the fact that there's still a Genji and a Tracer at large on the other side. Unco gets taken down, picked up by the Diva, no less, here in the sound barrier, just to make this that much more robust for NIP.
That's working really well. Rogue forced to engage through a really tight choke point. Huge amount of damage done. Mafu's already built a lot of energy from the previous composition and just came rolling into this one, putting out a huge amount of damage from the Zarya. And now they don't have to switch their composition, and they have a perfect one for attacking this final warehouse stage, because the Reinhardt-centric comps are brilliant at the end of Route 66, especially with Mafu already at 60% Graviton.
See if Nox can block the Earth Shatter here, since Earth Shatter is so strong at this point. It's all going to come down to this. They're going to build up the Shatter and try to get a big one.
It's going to be hard to avoid it. I think that's the main thing, of course. You're going to have your flankers running essentially freight routes up and down the sides. You can see that's just what happened. You can see both Tracers have found their kills. Fraggy deals with Suit. He got a little bit too close for comfort there, but it's a 4v4 situation. Still, NIP happy to push forward. Himsy's found Nox now, and the Transcendent's been drawn out of Rogue. But Unco not really getting much value for it there. NIP actually just take the foot off the gas for a moment.
Yeah, that was an odd commitment of the ultimate, actually, because they're not going to get further kills there, I don't think, because Fraggy's got his shield up and there's already most of the squishies are dead from NIP. And Rogue weren't at any kind of danger either. Neither team engaged on it, so they've thrown that one.
This is something Lunatic High exploited quite heavily against Rogue, actually, when they were in Korea. It's a slightly predictable use of those defensive ultimates, and they drew them out with, you know, a Dragon Blade or just menacing towards them.
And that's going to be super deadly as well, because now Unco doesn't have a Transcendence and Mafu's so close to his Graviton. Again, Fraggy, as you were saying, Swoosh, is at 80%, so two huge ultimates here.
I mean, you even have a big bang combo potentially coming up there between Mafu and Zappos. It's just, like, it's going to be so... There's not going to be really many ways to hide here. You can see that Nox goes straight in first. He gets into the backline here, and Nico hasn't gone for the Dragon Blade. Now he pulls it out. He gets out of the Graviton Surge, but he's got no targets. They're all shielded up or being healed or something else. They're all indisposed, and Nico disposes of none of them himself. He's forced to back away, gets nothing for that one. They've lost Wins, they've lost Soon. Unco's falling down. Now Nico must get back and fortify this position.
Fraggy still has the Shatter here. Let's see if he can close out the game.
And they've got the sound barrier as well. Nox, if he gets caught in it as well and killed before he can use his Primal Rage and try and delay, he's going to pop it out really early. 1,000 health, see if he can batter them back. Still 2 minutes on the clock, though. They could even reset from this fight if Fraggy doesn't feel like he's in position.
Oh, that's so big. That's so big. Fraggy goes down with that Earth Shatter available. They'd already lost Zupe in that fight, so maybe he was happy not to use it at all. But Ninjas and Pajamas were in pole position there to finish the map. Look where the payload was. They were so close.
Absolutely.
That was really well played. They know that Frag is looking for that Shatter. They send Nox, knocking him around. Unco is immediately there with a Discord, and soon is just poking him under the shield, and they take him out of the fight really, really quick.
Much more difficult to get value out of his Earth Shatter now as well, because Rogue holding further forwards, and they've got the high ground. So Fraggy's going to be pressured hard here.
Fraggy the charge, just to try and get out of trouble there as well. He knows he needs to get back with the rest of his team. This is a precious opportunity, but they may only have 1 or 2 fights. That's bad. Mafu down, and the D-suit on him. You can't have that happen. Now, the defense matrix potential is not there. What he has to go back to spawn, he needs to just swap off and swap back to Diva now in his spawn, I suppose. Yeah, no other choice there. I think you lose all of your ult percent you had on the mech when you resuit up. So I don't know how close he was, but it's not going to be a thing now. That hurts. That hurts real bad.
They've still got the ultimates to be able to pull this off. They just haven't been in a position to actually execute it properly. They got one opportunity, and Fraggy got knocked around by the Primal Rage.
He's getting pressured so hard.
40 seconds left.
They're going to focus Fraggy here.
He gets the Zenyatta out of the way, though. The Transcendent Zenyatta gets knocked up against the wall. Sure, no damage, but he gets that healing area away from Rogue at the very least. Nico is down, but so is Kynal now. NIP have an opportunity to press forward now, but Unco just won't be messed with. Fraggy has died again with his Earth Shatter in hand. You cannot allow this to happen. 15 seconds left and NRP are pushing forward. At least they had the advantage in that fight. At least they have their numbers. They're going to push forward now. 10 seconds remains. This will be into overtime one way or another. But an Earth Shatter is going to be good to deal with the trickle in of stall.
Fraggy's going to be able to get back into this fight as well. They got so many clutch kills on Rogue there, and soon falls as well. Zuppet with a headshot. Now Fraggy's in position, and there's no forwards pressure onto him. The pulse bomb, the frag. Oh, Fraggy's getting the kill there onto AKM. They're trying to push this one forward, only 4.5 meters from the end.
Surely this was possible now. Fraggy laying down that Earth Shatter, netted him a kill, and now Zappos has a lot of room to work with. Yes, Nox, of course, there's a lot of bluff and blunder on the point. That's all he can do. It is just him trying to swing his fists to keep NIP off this point, but now the sound barrier's got to come out here. AKM benefiting from that one on the Diva, no less, of course. I mean, why not? Pulse bomb again. Soon has stuck 2 pulse bombs in 2 consecutive fights on 2 supports. That is big to try and shut down NIP, but it may not be enough.
Oh, Matthew has to use his tactical visor there. It was the biggest target that they had, and he lights up the kill feed. Everybody dying, only Nox left. That's going to be it. Surely they're going to be able to complete it. NIP, that was just their attack, but the tension. This is the last opportunity for them to take a map from Rogue.
Fraggy got the ulting soldier there in the back. And
Jeez, he made us wait for it though, didn't he?
the fight before that, I was saying they were going to focus Fraggy. They didn't end up doing that. Nico went on there's a soldier with the Dragon Blade. And instead, Rogue said, Anko, can you just go and 1v1 Fraggy real quick for us?
That's not a thing, Johan. It's not a thing. I mean, why? Did it seem like Rogue maybe weren't worried about getting shattered? Why don't they treat him very carefully in that stage of the game?
They went aggro with the Transcendence, and in that chaos, they were looking to get a pick-off, and they managed to get it on the soldier. And I don't know how Fraggy ended up in that position. He might have got booped away, or he might have been trying to be a little bit clever and try to hide, because maybe thought they would focus him, and then come back out and try to shatter as many as possible. Either way, it didn't quite work out. They managed to get the ulting soldier in the end, which is a crucial pick-off with a shatter. That's totally worth it. So let's see how they do on the defense there. They're playing the same comp as usual.
It's so funny that like the transition of a Reinhardt player, like what you now had to be satisfied with getting with an Earth Shatter.
Yeah.
Now the minute changes, you just be like, yeah, 5-man, big thick Earth Shatter, carry the game, get my play to game. Now it's like, well, if I get one person, I'm laughing. It's like the transition of Deadeye. It's the same thing.
I mean, if you think about the Reinhardts that we've got in this tournament as well, it's absolutely stacked. You've got Fraggy, Reinforce, you've got Kaiser here as well. You've got like Hammers, Christopher.
Can't wait to see the Reinhardt versus Reinhardt.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely huge. But when they're playing against the triple DPS, which a huge amount of teams actually are as well, you know, it's so much more difficult for them to get the power out of their hero that they know they can when they're playing more tanky, or rather Reinhardt compositions.
Rogue now setting up here to go on the attack. They now have a goal. They have a time frame to do it in. They need to finish the map and have a little bit of time left over. Of course, if they have more than a minute remaining at the end of that, they will be able to attack again, and NIP won't be able to. That's important. If Rogue finish with under a minute, then both teams will have time allotted to them after the fact. But Rogue, standard team composition out here now as well. Matthew on the 76. Yeah, pretty similar for NIP. This is their 2-2-2 that we've been seeing a lot from them. But Kittle gets picked off very early.
Oh, and another support gone. Zuppet falls. They're just falling to pieces here. Rogue's target selection is excellent, and they're just able to get into the backlines seemingly at will.
That's so cheeky. They send 3 people through lower tunnel, and they just discord someone who's not necessarily out of position, because you don't expect that. They speed through lower tunnel, they discord someone who's behind gas, and then just jump him, and he's dead.
That was awfully quick.
Yeah.
Somewhat unsatisfying.
It's just, they're just like, where is everybody? So silent.
And Wins is just now I get to live my end game fantasy.
Just taking selfies.
That's it.
Tweet
exactly.
them out.
Right, Fraggy, a little bit low after the fact. Good Lord. He got so low without a Transcendence, a Discord on him as soon as he rocked up. He was chunked.
And their focus fire is so excellent coming out from Rogue. They create opportunities, windows for themselves that other teams wouldn't be able to create, and then they take advantage of them so well. Rogue are playing fantastically so far this tournament.
And Nico has a blade here, and Suppe is not even close to Transcendence. They're gonna hold shows really aggro here, and as soon as they try to commit out, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nico clean up with a blade.
This is so demoralizing to play against as well. NIP have been locked in the 3rd stage of the map here. They can't even access, I mean, the streets phase, we'll call it at this point now. That's a nice shut down on AK, and the bubble being put down there, but Fraggy pays with it for his life. Nico comes out 2 with 1 slash. Nico there just making it a very efficient, macabre scene there. The Butcher, of course, of France comes through. And Ninjas in Pajamas never really had a breath of fresh air outside of that last phase.
People were wondering about Nico's LAN performance and just thinking, you know, was his performance in Apex just indicative of some kind of choke? Was he not able to adjust to the LAN environment? He is turning up here at TakeOver 2.
He's playing really, really well.
That's it, wins. That's it.
You push that payload.
Maybe I should check my Twitter and see if there's a new post.
Yeah, you get on that payload, son. Right. The rest of the row going to set up outside. Okay, Fraggy seems to be on his own here and almost got bursted down, but at least there was a follow-up there from Zappos. I didn't see him on screen right then. Transcendence also came out pretty quickly. NLP have lost so much of this second phase now that they have to go big in this fight. But there it is, Nico again. He turns on a Fraggy. You saw Soon just pick off Zuppe. He can't get any freedom away from this Tracer. Soon is laser, pinpoint focused on removing the supports from the fights here in NLP. They don't even get a say in the matter.
It's so rough. They pressured him so hard, so Zuppe feels forced to use the ultimate just to get out of the choke, to get on the payload. And that's...
Yeah, just to play the game. You had to press Q to play Overwatch. That's what it means right now.
There is a silver lining here, and that's that NIP are entering the warehouse section. There's 5 minutes on the clock, but this should be the area of the map that favors them the most when they're playing defensively. Fraggy's getting a couple of picks, but I expect him, maybe after they've used the Primal Rage and played super aggressively, to switch over to a Reinhardt comp and try and play this a bit more like the classic NIP style. But Rogue should find it slightly more difficult to get through warehouse. Having said that, they have found no difficulty so far.
NIP have a decent amount of ultimates, because you know what happens, even if you don't do damage in this game, you get ultimates over time. So NIP sat inside this warehouse, just got their ultimates now ready for the last phase. So it kind of works in their favor. Rogue, though, have them as well, and they probably garnered them from different measures here. All the 3 DPS players have them available, and we know they just use them whenever they want.
Really aggressive positioning at the moment from NIP. I think they want to get value out of their ults before they switch over, but there's Nico straight into the back. They're going to force out the sound barrier straight away. That's decent value for the Dragon Blade, even if he doesn't get the kill.
Yeah, that's right. Mafu's able at least to break back here as well, but note that there were multiple ultimates forced out of NIP. Mafu was hurriedly going towards his heavy pulse rifle just to bring out the attack visor as well, but it may not have worked out because AKM and Nico were here to clean up the fight. Oh, he caught Zuppe on the way down. That's disgusting. He says he feels like his tracking is bad today, but there was nothing the Omnic Monk could have done.
And now they've switched over to the Reinhardt composition, but it might have been too little too late. Fraggy stayed on the Winston, and they kind of opened the door for them. A couple of trickle kills towards the end from AKM, and now they're so close.
This could be it as well. Unco, look at how much space he's got to go with. That could be a bit nasty. Good bubble, though, placed over the top. However, Zappos and Mafu both finding their kills. Unco having to go for the Transcendence a little bit late in the piece, and yeah, this is done. They're going to back away there. They lost too much, far too quickly. NIP, it was a precision strike to the heart, and it managed to stop Rogue in their tracks.
Now they can start to push up that defense as well, see if they can get a bit more value out of it. They only have the single ultimate, but there really aren't that many up from Rogue. The difficulty here for the Ninjas in Pajamas is that there's 3 minutes left on the clock. They managed to hold it for 2 so far, so you need to do the exact same plus a little bit.
If Zuppe managed to not use his Transcendence in this fight and they win a white fight, I think that will be 2 minutes off the clock, because he's going to have it for either the blade or the visor.
That's what we call fights where no ultimates are used, yes?
Yes, exactly.
There you go, one fight. Right, so Zuppe off towards the side now as well. Transcendence, okay, he brings that one out here, but I don't really know what Rogue have done to provoke this to a degree. Still, NRP don't lose the fight out. The Transcendence could even have been kept potentially there, like you mentioned, Swish, but it comes out, it's for safety and it works. So Rogue now with 2 minutes and 30 to go.
Rogue is going to be really happy about that.
They do have the sound barrier coming up fairly shortly. It might even be active in the middle of the next fight. If they can get a pick with Zappos and possibly have Mafu's tactical visor position somewhere decent, then they might get value out of this one, but Kindle needs to charge the sound barrier.
93% counting. Keep an eye on that one. Now is NIP high ground. You can see Mafu's got 2 layers of defense between him and the very scary Rogue French guys. Of course, it's not going to help if a Discord gets attached to him outside of the shield. He has to go low ground, by the way. That's not ideal. Mafu has to give up that positioning, and AKM shuts him down. We've seen this happen multiple times this series. Again, he gets the better of his opposite number. 76 is AKM right now. He still has attack visor. Self-destruct in over the top of Rogue. Too nifty. They're going to be able to nimbly get out of the way of that one here. They've drawn out ults, they've gotten kills, and now they want to keep fighting.
Both teams still in control of their sound barriers so far. Both Kindle and Wins chose not to invest them in that fight. Both poking the other, seeing if they could force it out. So, stick into the back lines. Oh, it does catch Super without actually sticking to him. Soon's accuracy has been ridiculous, and now both sound barriers used.
And yeah, it's forced the sound barrier out of Kittle. He had to go for it. Rogue can respond. They're more than happy. They use the second one. Nox finds Fraggy. Fraggy did fire the charge on towards Wins, and Mafu's in a high ground position. He can do a lot from here, and he does. He also finds Unco. He's still at large. Mafu's still a free man. Zappas also walks for the moment, but soon eventually finds him with a headshot. That payload sailing close. You can see the yellow box of victory is just there. Now Rogue just trying to get it done. Nox coming forward, but realizes that even with this, there's no point dragging this out further. He wants to stay alive and come back with his team. Now, both teams will get an extension of time if Rogue finished within the allotted amount.
That was so clutch from Mafu. He realized the monkey was dead, so he could take high ground for free, and he just peppered down 2 targets, and from there they won the fight.
NIP have been so good in this warehouse stage as well. It's really suited them. From that aggressive defense where they shaved off 2 minutes and used ultimates on both sides, and now they've been able to clutch it towards the end, but this is crunch time.
It's Dragonblade time as well, I think, and you better believe it. Nico going to bring it out. There's a Transcendence to contend with again and needs to reassess his situation, survey the battlefield once again. And a bit of a slash over towards the head of a Transcendencing Zupa. It's not going to get him too much. 12 seconds remaining now. Soon comes in with a pulse bomb. A little bit of damage. We saw the hit marker, but nothing more than that. The payload needs to get there, and this might be a decent start for Rogue. Soon finds Fraggy. The big tank is down, and Owanko's going to be more than happy to come forward with that Transcendence and try and get this done.
Mafu as well with a tactical visor, but it's all getting eaten up. Apart from that last kill, Soon falls. That's a lot of damage being taken out of the situation, and these spawners are coming in thick and fast.
Oh my lord, AKM! It's an air shot on towards Kindle with a pulse rocket. Rogue will not be stopped here. They're in overtime, but they're going to push forward either way. It's the difference between winning and losing this map. They must finish it, otherwise it's a 3-1. They're going to lose the map there. We do going to see the sound barrier come out, and self-destruct out towards the back, but the bubble held just long enough. Himsy gets desuited as soon as he resuits. AKM gets him straight out of that one and then finishes him off, but NIP are not done yet. Sound barrier from Kira, but that's all he can do. A triumphant yell, but no, Rogue get it done. Both teams absolutely neck and neck. They both finish the map in overtime, and when the music cuts out and I'm yelling, it sounds like I'm really being melodramatic, guys.
And Fraggy was getting really close to the air shatter there. That could have been a difference maker, but he died, unfortunately. And 3 more hammer swings, and he would have had the shatter, and that could have changed the fight.
That was so close for NIP, but they just started losing people as well. And as soon as you lose the people who are going to be delaying it the most out from NIP, and it's just Himsy alive towards the end, and he's just throwing the self-destruct on and then resuiting himself. Yeah. But you know that he's going to die and only buy time for a couple of spawners. And it's long gone past then, because nobody in Rogue is even in danger of dying themselves. They're just spread out, applying the pressure. But it was a very admirable attempt from NIP. They shaved off 5 minutes there.
Yeah, you said the silver lining was there. You know, Rogue were just hurtling towards the end of the map at breakneck speed, but NIP really found their footing here. I am concerned about this first point, though. I really think Rogue have been a cut above, both on attack and defense of this part of the map.
And Rogue decided not to bring out the McCree this time.
Yeah, that comp didn't work too well for them. They kind of fell apart in a couple of fights, but NIP will be wishing that the warehouse section was the bit that opened the map rather than
They're looking
closed
to
it.
full them here, right in the beginning. If they win the first fight, it's possible.
All right, well, set your clocks and make sure your dreams are all in line. NIP now, it's their time to try and come forth here and see what they can post. Ultimately, they probably won't finish the map, but it's as far as they can get. But Rogue don't care. They're going to get in their face. Soon they're getting... Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. Frankie having a snooze on the job. Probably the worst time it could be happening. Desperately, Himsy trying to protect him. It actually works out. All this focus on towards Frankie allows NIP to pick off the rest of these Rogue attackers.
Yeah, NIP just picking up the kill after kill. I don't really know how they managed to do that one. I think they were just spread out over the wrong side of those cargo.
All we saw was people diving Fraggy, so I wasn't really sure.
AKM was trying to do a play by rocket jumping up on the train, but he got discorded and punished by Sappy's Tracer immediately.
And now it's not a good situation for Rogue. They have to re-engage in. They were hoping to hold them really early on, and every meter gained is fantastic for Ninjas in Pajamas.
AKM coming forward now. Yeah, overtime is about to hit in here, and all Rogue need to do is wipe them off the face of the payload and ultimately of the map. And Nico starts well. 2 kills come out from him, and now Nox is going to jump in. He's a secondary engagement in this situation. That's not a bad thing, but he gets hit by a pulse bomb. Zappas drops it down. Didn't stick it, I don't think, but AKM's there. On the payload is Himsy. He's beleaguered, surrounded on all sides, and Nico just dashes through him. The reflect, that's nasty in a Dragonblade. Why not finish it in style? Cuts the cake, and he cuts Ninjas to the quick. They're not going to get any more points in this map.
That's the problem with the tank comp. You saw what happened there. Their Soldier and their Zenyatta, Anko, and AKM came for free through the high ground and went to the gas station. And Mafu and Suppe had no idea they were there. And Mafu got insta-discorded, Helix rocket, and he just died. If they have any kind of scout there, so they can react in time and position differently, they could have won the fight because Mafu was getting close to our visor as well.
Fraggy switched off the Reinhardt right at the beginning as well. As soon as they rounded the bend, he switched onto the Winston, and they really didn't get too much done with it. He kind of looks personally a little shaky on the hero whenever we've seen him. It seems like it's a bit of a newer pick, perhaps. He is obviously renowned as a Reinhardt, but their compositions do look weaker when they go for that.
It's funny the juxtaposition between Nox, who's a fantastic Winston player and maybe not a confident Reinhardt, and then you've got Fraggy, who's a fantastic Reinhardt player and maybe not a confident Winston.
Yeah. But, I mean, the rest of the team and the meta at the moment plays so much better around Nox's Winston that it's making a pretty big difference overall. Fraggy's struggled on both of his choices, not through lack of individual talent, but the pressure being applied onto him has been obscene at times. And now NRP have got a bit of a task. They have to try and lock Rogue out. And, I mean, in a minute, it was about a checkpoint 2 beforehand for Rogue.
Yeah, it's guts or glory now. Rogue now know what they need to do. They've got a minute to work with. And again, NIP want to try and defend close. They were the masters at really getting up in your face and using these close chokes back in the triple tank meta. But it's going to be much harder now. Nico takes a bit of damage early on here. NIP essentially unscathed for the most part. Very much just posturing and trying to trade some aggression over this payload.
Look for Fraggy and him to switch places on payload here. Here comes Fraggy, and Muff is going to go in when he jumps out. This is really good.
Oh, that's really clever. You can actually see them switching out as they go. I wouldn't have noticed that actually if I hadn't brought it up. AKM hits a rocket on towards Fraggy now. Look at this, already 25 seconds. This forward defense hold has actually been working really well from NIP. That's the headshot though. That could be nasty. Nico reflecting. And now Rogue pretty much have one more fight. AKM and Soon need to get back. They're going to be in overtime. They're close. It's going to have to be going off with a bang.
Yeah, that was fight here. Let's see if we can get a repeat with Mafu and Suppe, maybe trying to get a pick-off on their soldier. Just rushing gas, try to get a good bionic grenade.
Zappis has to not die as well, because as soon as he died at the beginning of that fight, was disastrous for them. Fraggy and Himsy just couldn't rotate the car enough.
Transcendence there, hastily brought out by Anko. As soon as he saw Fraggy actually getting the nano boost, he brings it out, and that's beautiful stuff. Fraggy, even with the nano boost, can't actually burst anyone down. He can't get the damage done. In fact, now, changing targets. The problem is Fraggy's losing teammates, though. He's lost himself. Bafu and Zuppe went down. Nico with the Dragon Blade now, but what can he do? He's getting booped around. Wins, finds Kittle. Nico tries to reflect as much as he can. Finds Zappos with the pulse bomb. Straight back in his face. He may as well stick it to his cheek and be done. Nicely done for Rogue. They're going to push through in a bit of BM there, and the egg is on Zappos' face.
That was insane. That was a game of milliseconds. Mafu had just got his visor, but Nico got his Dragon Blade 1 second before and managed to kill him. Great play by Rogue. They find their targets as usual, and they just bite.
That's hilarious, man. Nico, Zappos was like, this is my only hope. And that's the most, I guess, gut-wrenching moment as well, is when you just get it back in your face. So we'll give him that.
Do you know what? I was actually impressed,
It should
though.
be play of the match, honestly.
Yeah. I was actually impressed at how well NIP were able to put up that forward defense, though. It's not a comp that you normally see them have too much success on, and previously they had just been rolled to pieces, like when they played the regulation time on defense. So the fact that they were able to stall them out right up to overtime, and if they had won a fight, would have won the map, is, I think, admirable, even if they ended up losing and were, in general, over the series outplayed.
Michael. Sorry, boys, we're organising some interviews. Come sit down, man. Wins is joining us, of course. Probably the best payload driver I've ever seen. Grab that mic. There you go, mate.
Hey.
We got to see you play some Zenyatta in this series. That was interesting. Is that a common thing for you guys? Zenyatta pick?
On some map, yes.
Yeah.
We play Anazen on like Gibraltar, Namura. Well, it depends on the map if we can use the Dragon or not. But yes, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, I mean, for you, is it a personal preference, obviously, not to play the Ana? Do you prefer not to? Do you prefer to play the Zenyatta, I guess, over the Ana, is what I'm trying to say?
Yes, it didn't go so well, though, when we played him. But, yeah, obviously, I like the change.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
What, you don't like sitting on payload?
I was having fun, yeah.
We can
like,
see.
yeah, I'm just waiting for my team to destroy everyone. That's pretty much it.
But
Yeah.
Worked out, didn't it? It's a decent game plan. Wait for the rest of the road
It
to
works,
kill.
so I'm good with it.
I mean, let's talk a little bit over these maps there as well, because obviously that last one being fairly close for you guys. But I mean, I guess let's throw it back a little bit early on to, I think it was Numbani was our first map, wasn't it, there as well?
Yeah.
Obviously, like the NIP, you saw them try to really, like, they push onto the point and then they try and like wrap around. They always try to flank you. They never like approach directly. I mean, how do you respond to that as a team that kind of knows that you need to stand your ground?
We got surprised a bit because I dropped, which is like a usual move whenever they come in, engage on high ground. We drop to the car sometimes, not always, but... And I got surprised. I was in the middle of 5 guys, 6 guys. I was behind, and I died. But yeah, I actually don't like what they're doing because they waste too much time. If it doesn't work out, then it's a big waste of time.
Okay.
But like they play with Ronald, so I guess they don't really have a choice. They have to go around and actually contest.
They're trying to get that high ground.
Yeah.
Something that was really interesting to me over the course of the series was some of the different compositions that you were using. On the last map in particular, just because it was the most recent one, you had Soon over on the McCree, and you were playing like a more defensive style with him and AKM up top on Big Earls. What's the thought process behind that comp?
We just wanted to try something new. Because usually we just aggress at the payload on the spawn, and it never works out for us. It's still worth doing, like to gain the 30 seconds, but at the end of the day, we decided to do something else. We knew we needed a Zen because they were most likely going to go for a triple tank composition, which is why better and bread and butter. Sorry, but like, we're just trying things out really.
Yeah.
You were saying that when you aggress like into the Route 66 forward spawn when you're not forward spawn, like the first spawn when you're on defense, you say it wasn't working well for you, and it didn't work well for you when NIP were coming out. What's different about that? Why are these forward defenses not working for you compared to that? Is it just the spawn advantage for the attackers?
Well, it's the fact that we're playing a Zen and he's playing like literally inside the spawn. You can't really get to him. He's way too far. It's like you can't reach the back lane, so you have to fight the front lane, and it's always an overwhelmed Reinhardt and what else? Like it's just hard to attack there.
Also, sometimes, even if you win the first fight, if you're trying to stagger, the enemy team can just switch to a Widowmaker or a Roadhog and try to pick you.
That's pretty much the issue. Like, if you fight inside the spawn, even if you win the fight and they have a couple of picks, then you have to back off, and you still gain some time, but like, it's so, you know?
Yeah, harder, much harder.
Yeah.
Having been in Korea, of course, for a while, we don't really talk about it. It's a bit of a swear word at the moment. But, I mean, more of the point is, how do you think that has leveled up your game? Obviously, having that consistent degree of competition to go up against. I mean, do you definitely feel like it's definitely put you head and shoulders above where you were and where the rest of the Western scenes are?
I would actually say the opposite. I think we got worse playing there. I think the overall environment wasn't for us. As in, just everything, like the food, like just everything.
Sure.
Even though like we were playing good teams, it was like we felt we were burning out actually, and we had to take a few days before playing against Military because just no motivation to play at all. I remember like the first 2 weeks when we practiced against all of the team, we basically destroyed everyone. We had no answer to what we were doing, and after a while, we just got worse and worse, and I don't know, it's just we were burning out, I think.
I think people have like this like image of pro gamers, right? There's these guys that just go on stage every now and then, just make mad Skrilla and just then head back home and whatever. But
is that not what happens?
No, apparently not. But like it's tough. Like I mean, in Korea, you're in a nice hotel, but you're in a hotel, and you've got to sort of get by. I mean, would you still want to go back if you were invited? Would you do it differently, or do you think you'd rather avoid that kind of lifestyle?
I think we'll be fine going back to Korea if the tournament wasn't that long.
Okay.
It's just too much. It's too much. Like you don't really sleep well in a hotel. It's just too many things that don't go well for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, we don't know if we get invited again. I will have to think about it, obviously.
Sure.
But we might just say no because it doesn't go well for us.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I hung out with you guys in China as well, and it was tough as well. I mean, I was getting used to the whole place and obviously the food as well and all that kind of stuff. It's all kind of draining,
Yeah.
If you're draining.
You're in a different place as well. You're unfamiliar with like the language and the culture and all sorts of things, and obviously living out of a hotel and scrimming the whole time.
Yeah.
The other compositional thing was your Sombra attack on Hanamura. What's the idea there? Because Unko is switching. It's a single support Sombra composition, but it's not Unko that's switching over to the Sombra. It was Soon on Sombra and Unko on Tracer. So what's the thought process behind that?
Well, just because Soon is actually more pointed to Sombra, you can play it better just because he has a lot more play time on her. And Soon is Unko so is a very capable Tracer. And we knew they were going to like have two tanks at the gate, not doing anything if we just rushed through, and they were pretty much useless there. So.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I think that'll pretty much do this for the latest installment of Rogue beating other teams. It's kind of nice to have that back again, you know? It's kind of pleasant. It really is. After the break, it's going to be Cyclones going up against EU United. Still more to be decided in this Group A. Still more games to come. So stay with us, and we'll see you after the break.